The population on Earth is growing to the point of exceeding the carry capacity, and humanity has fought over the last natural resources. In the year 2174, a ship called Elysium was launched. In space, we see the massive ship flying towards the stars. Bauer wakes up from his hypersleep pod, manages to free himself from the pod and rips out the tubes going into his body. He sees that he has a series of numbers tattooed on his arm. He finds Peyton in another pod and tries to wake him, but the pod doesn't open. He tries to open the door of the room, but it's locked. A power surge shakes the ship, causing Peyton to wake up finally. Both men are suffering from memory loss due to the general anesthesia they received in hypersleep and can't remember what the mission is or the destination. The numbers tattooed on their arms indicate which group they belong to. Another power surge indicates that something's wrong with the reactor and he needs to fix it. Peyton sends Bauer to find a way out in the vents while he stays behind at the command center to guide him. Bauer tries to find his way out, but after feeling like he's going in circles, he becomes claustrophobic again. Peyton via radio calms Bauer down by joking that he got the door open. Bauer falls down a shaft and lands face first on a grate. Bauer lights a glow stick and sees Cooper's decomposing corpse. He falls into a storage compartment and loses connection with Peyton. While searching around, Bauer comes across Nadia and tries to talk to her, but she quickly runs away. He starts chasing her and she attacks him, mugging him at knife point. She takes his supplies and asks him to remove his shoes as she only has toeless socks on her feet. Suddenly they both hear screeching nearby and she runs away. Seeing the half-eaten man pull up, he runs and hides in the storage compartment. After the creature leaves, Bauer is scared, telling Peyton that something not human is on board the ship. Bauer reconnects with Peyton and tells him about the creature. Peyton says the destination was an Earth-like planet called Tanis, which was a way ticket to colonize. Bauer also gets a childhood flashback remembering Tanis being discovered. Bauer then remembers his wife and that the families of the crew were allowed to travel on the ship. Bauer stops being scared and becomes desperate to find her before the creatures do. Peyton says that there is no rescue or turning back, so they need to fix the reactor first. Bauer looks around and finds the hanged man. Upon closer inspection, he cuts him down and is introduced to Shepard. Shepard is part of another group and covers himself in oil to cover his scent from the creatures. The creatures chase Bauer and Shepard through the ship. They eventually string Shepard back up and Bauer tries to shoot the creatures. His shot is blocked and the creature cuts Shepard's stomach open, feeding on him. They chase Bauer, but he is saved by another man named Man but loses communication with Peyton. He sees Mon's tattoo and sees that he's part of the agriculture crew. Peyton starts to get a bloody nose and gets increasingly scared that he can't talk to Bauer. Bauer finds a housing container that acts as a living quarters. He is attacked by Nadia again, making fall from a great distance. Mon pops up and fights Nadia and Bauer shoots in the air to stop them. Bauer tells Nadia that they need to start the reactor or else they'll lose everything. But she says that no one has ever came back from going that far down. But eventually agrees to show him the way to the reactor. They come across a hallway and find themselves surrounded by creatures. A power surge shakes the ship, allowing Nadia to activate a door open. They barely make it inside and seal the door. She is a former biologist from Germany who spends 7 years to collect samples of Earth's biosphere for the trip to Tanis. As a quirk, she practices entomophagy, where she eats grasshoppers, stating that it is good for protein, and offers Bauer some. He accepts and they eat together, which disgusts Man. Nadia leads the team through a part of the ship that holds civilian pods where Bauer notices that the majority of the pods are empty. Bauer wonders if his wife is there, but Nadia tells him that the families of the crew are held in another area of the ship. Bauer disappears and lighting up a glow stick, they find themselves into a massive pit of bones and gore. They attacked by the creature but manages to kill it while the other creature give chase to the trio. They come into another area and witness a man wake up from his pod. Bauer attempts to help him but is too late as the man is stabbed in the head and eaten by the creatures. Meanwhile, Peyton enters the vent, through the mass of hoses and wires, and finds a naked man covered in blood/slime. Gallo says that he came from the bridge before passing out. Nadia then irritably tells him that she was just trying to save their lives. They then take refuge in a room where they find Leland, who is living in the room for years now. Leland welcomes them and makes them some food which made with the algae. Peyton inspects Gallo's arm and sees that he's part of the previous group. Gallo wakes up and says that he was with 2 other crew members but they suffered from Pandorum, and he was forced to kill them. Peyton tries to give a shot for calm but he refuses to take it. Meanwhile, Nadia tells Bauer that the creatures are actually passengers, and because of waking up early, they all turned into creatures. Leland states that he would grow into manhood, and Gallo is depicted with something abnormal with his mind as electric sparks appear around his head and blood is drawn around his noses. This strongly hints that he developed Pandorum. This strongly hints that had awakened other passengers to play nasty little games, as he puts it. This game involved them performing similar activities to that of the hunters, where they hung each other on ropes. Eventually he went back into hypersleep and the group is gassed by him. Bauer wakes up to find himself, Nadia, and Mon hung upside down in the room. Leland says, "I want to kill you guys," to which Bauer says, "If you kill us the ship's reactor will be destroyed." Leland cuts them down and makes them walk through the ship at gunpoint with Bauer's weapon. Meanwhile, things get heated with Gallo and Peyton. Peyton says that Gallo is crazy and continues to order him to stand down. The team comes across a hunter child feeding on algae covering the ship, which Man tries to kill but Nadia stops him. The team makes it to the reactor but find that below it is the sleeping ground for the creatures. Bauer tries to walk across a catwalk to the reactor but it gives way. Mon holds onto the catwalk while Nadia runs across to help Bauer. Seeing that Mon can't hold the weight of both of them, Bauer allows himself to fall down to where the creatures are. Bauer covers himself with skin/slime so that the creatures won't pick up his scent. He then crawls amongst them to get to the ladder leading up to the reactor. Once he gets there, Leland accidentally drops a light down to where the creatures are, waking them all up. Leland runs away while Mon drops the catwalk, crushing a couple of creatures. He makes noises and leads the creatures away from Bauer and Nadia. Bauer climbs up to the reactor and turns on the power, which fries some creatures in the process. Gallo takes control of the needle gun and forces Peyton to open his pod. Gallo has Peyton start the ejection sequence and gets inside. However, Peyton tricks Gallo and instead just locks him inside the pod. Elsewhere, Mon manages to elude the hunters but then runs into the leader. Man is again unwilling to go down without a fight. The leader pins Mon against a wall and starts to eat his stomach. Mon grabs a knife and repeatedly stabs the leader in the head until it dies. Mon then turns around to find its child staring at him and slices Mon's throat open. Bauer turns on the reactor, providing power to the ship. Gallo attacks Peyton and they fight for control over the needle gun and their arms merge together. It's shown that Peyton is the only person there and has been fighting himself. Leland winds up in the command center where Peyton shoots Leland's eye, rendering him unconscious. Bauer and Nadia make it back to the bridge while being chased by cannibals. They lock the door and find Peyton already there. It's revealed that Peyton is actually Gallo, the god and devil from the story. Bauer opens the window shields only to see darkness and Bauer panics from claustrophobia. Gallo tells Bauer that he purposefully created the creatures that now roam the ship. It turns out that Gallo was lying earlier about them being lost in space. The flight log shows they have been on the ship for 923 years and realize that Elysium has been on Tanis the entire time, crash-landed in an ocean underwater. The creatures are not the passengers, nor did the passengers mutated, but instead they are their descendants who evolved into a new species after generations of ecological selection, continuing the game Gallo had started with their ancestors as tradition. Gallo then attacks Bauer but Nadia tries to stop him, but due to her injury she is overpowered. Bauer hallucinates about creatures trying to break into the bridge. Bauer, still hallucinating, shoots a compartment, causing a piece to crack the window. The ship floods with the water and they run off, leaving Gallo drowns along with Leland and the cannibals. Bauer and Nadia run back to Bauer's pod and the pod pops out of the surface of the ocean. Bauer and Nadia survive and look around the alien planet. Bauer smiles and puts his head on Nadia's in relief that they have completed their mission. The film ends with text, stating that the population on Tanis Year 1 is 1,213 humans. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing videos.